The cheesy Cheshire Cat, Chris Badman's got himself into hot water again for his clumsy comments, and this time even the Beeb appear to be slightly perturbed. Old Jug-Ears, aka Gary Lineker, tweeted about the government's new asylum plan, saying, "There is no huge influx. We take far fewer refugees than other major European countries. This is just an immeasurably cruel policy directed at the most vulnerable people in language that is not dissimilar to that used by Germany in the 1930s. And I'm out of order, ? The BBC says Lineker's being spoken to about it, his impartiality responsibilities, otherwise known as patted on the back by everyone at the BBC. While the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, says she's disappointed by the comments. Joining me to discuss this is journalist Angela Epstein. Angela, what do you think of Gary Lineker's comments?
I think they were crass, they were completely inappropriate and have no real understanding of what 1930s Nazi Germany was all about. I think we can all agree that the crisis surrounding illegal migration is something that needs to be sorted, not least because innocent people every day are losing their lives and are being, ruthlessly exploited by all the gangs that are sorting out the crossings on these small boats. But setting that aside, Nazi Germany, this was a state which committed industrialized murder, government-sponsored industrialized murder, where women, babies, children, men, all ages, former war heroes that had fought for Germany, people right across Europe were rounded up, deported and thrown into gas chambers, predominantly because they were Jewish. 6 million Jews were murdered, but also there were people who were murdered because of their political persuasion. Gypsies, people were murdered for their sexuality. This is an entirely different conversation. And what Lineker's done is, apart from showing his appalling lack of knowledge about human history, he's demonstrated that this is just the master of the soundbite. And in the process, what he does is he devalues the conversation surrounding immigration, because everybody's been up in arms about his choice of words and whether he should have said anything. And he also hugely devalues and insults those whose families, and who we still have survivors of the Holocaust, who went through those terrible periods and are somehow being used, sort of kicked around as a kind of a neat sort of armchair criticism. And it is just entirely inappropriate.
What do you think motivates people like Gary Lineker to annoy the hell out of everybody else with his pathetic virtue signalling? I mean, much as I defend his right to do it, what's he trying to achieve?
Well, I think possibly, I'm not Gary Lineker, as you can see, but...
Are you sure? It is International Women's Day.
Well, we've never been seen in the same room at the same time, so I couldn't possibly comment. But the point is that he is somebody who has a huge platform because he has a massive following. He was a world-class footballer. He stewards Match of the Day, which has millions of viewers. He's got a massive following on social media. But a lot of those things are energized and given horsepower by the fact that he's on the BBC's payroll. Now, because he's on the BBC payroll, he's obliged to subscribe to the values of so-called lack of bias that the corporation maintains it adopts. And you can't have it both ways. You can't say that I've got the right to free speech. We've got the right to free speech because we're not funded by the state broadcaster. He is, and therefore he has to think about what he's doing. And I think sometimes I think there are 2 points here. First of all, maybe he thinks he's invincible, that he's so valuable he can get away with doing it. And he's also just not thinking about anything other than the fact that I'm Gary Lineker and I can say what I like. I'm not denying that he feels it about the immigration crisis and the illegal immigrants and the plight of those who are caught up in this. I'm sure he's absolutely sincere in that. But I think, he has to step away from either his BBC fat wage packet or he has to step away from the debate.